there is emerging on the face of the earth a new human, an infinite human, and that infinite human is you. Join Elizabeth Monroy weekly for enlightening discussions, multidimensional journeys, profound meditations, and empowering visualizations as we co-create the new consciousness renaissance together with other blossoming infinite human beings who are shifting the old paradigms of our broken, fragmented, finite 3D Earth and alchemizing it into a more expansive, unified, loving, infinite reality by reclaiming their true divine infinite power within as the co-creators of the new infinite Earth. Join us weekly for the Infinite Human Talk Show, hosted by Elizabeth Monroy, every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
Hello, my divine infinite human beings, who all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Elizabeth Monroy, and this is the Infinite Human Talk Show. And I just want to say, wow, this is such a powerful, powerful time. And I was really just going to kind of pull back and integrate all this energy myself, but I felt so called to just get up and share a lot of what I'm going through, a lot of the downloads I'm getting, and kind of serve as a voice of inspiration, because this is a ending and a beginning. And we're right now at the cusp of the eclipse. I'm recording this on the eclipse day, but of course, whenever you hear this, it's divine timing. So the message was meant for you to hear right now when you're tuning in. But we're actually, it's the 21st, which is the eclipse, and it's kind of the end of this long, 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 never-ending summer, because tomorrow is the equinox. So we're beginning fall. And this summer has been so intense. It's been the most powerful energy that's ever hit our planet. And I know everyone's feeling it. In fact, Kiki has a bladder infection right now. So I'm recording this now because I have to take her to the vet tomorrow, because, everyone's feeling it. In bladder infections, I had one earlier this summer, is attachment, So what we're being required to do energetically is let go of everything that we have identified with, everything that is finite. Our whole concept of reality, basically the 3D Earth, which is all we consciously are aware of now. But with a lot of faith, and I've been saying this, it's going to be great. And I'm saying that to myself too, because it seems unknown right now. Everything seems unknown if you're really moving energetically. Many of you have experienced, like myself, a lot of anxiety this summer because our whole nervous system has been completely rewired. So we've been required to take in, digest, alchemize, integrate extremely large, powerful amounts of energy that our bodies just can barely handle. So, that's hence a lot of people have not been able to sleep, eat. It's just been very, very intense. And there's been a lot of, I've had panic attacks, anxiety, and some of it's been great because it's kind of been a real high, but at the same time, it's an overload. So we've been integrating these massive, pouring in energies from our Crystal River Crystal River fail-safe host, and from the Aurora Suns. And I did a whole podcast about that. And the codes are coming through our sun. And of course, the Nomi seed in our earth, the Schumann resonance has been spiking and off the charts. And there's been so many different interpretations. Every day there's something different. And now there's been a little bit of a dip in the energy in September for us to rest and integrate, and assimilate and basically clear out the past. So what you are doing now, especially right now with the eclipse, the solar eclipse, is you're really flushing out any residues of these old lower frequencies that are residing in your alternate identities, which are your past lives. So, since there is no time, I call them alternate identities because they're running around right now all over the place. But you are flipping in and out. And I know I shared in a video earlier that I was yesterday I was having just flashes, all these memories, kind of like a montage. If you were watching a film, it'd be like a montage, just flash, 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 flash of darting around from like childhood to my relationship, marriage with Peter, to high school, to all over, and then into past lives too. A lot of Ireland, a lot of places. So it was just so rapid and it was overloading me, but it was also clearing. I felt like each one of them was clearing out memories, clearing out trauma, clearing out identifications with that part of me. So it's been intense to say the least, but maybe many of you can kind of grok, identify with what I'm saying. And if you can, great, because it's been a big job. It's been a huge amount of work. I'd say so. I've done a lot of work too. I'm sure you have too, but it's been one of the hardest bits of work, interiorly, because outside everything appears the same, but everything shifted energetically. So we're breaking out, and tomorrow is 22nd, which is a breakaway day, which is the day that you can, and I wanted you to prepare yourself for this, write the first page in a new chapter in a new book. It's a new everything, a whole new story. But let's just back up a little bit, because we've been quantum leaping all over the place. And one of the things I recommend as a ascension coach, and with all my years of being an intuitive reader, and having a master's in mental health counseling, and having a private practice, and being a daughter of family therapists, I always think it's important to find some way, especially for me, I'm extremely creative, I'm an artist, I'm a writer, to express and yourself, and to reflect, to kind of just take a step back and objectively reflect. And that's what I do as a writer. So if you have that writer in you, it's beautiful, because it gives you a chance to commemorate your journey, because this all has been a journey. It's all a hero's journey into your heroic self. And I just finished, giving the course, the rewriting your life story into your heroic self, which was a great success, and it was amazing. And the women that showed up were amazing. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. But let me give you just a little hint right now that you could do, without having to take a course and everything. That's something you might want to do later. But to ease this, to commemorate this powerful moment, probably the most powerful moment in his story and in your story, because there's been a huge dimensional shift. We've really said bye-bye to 3D Earth energetically. It's still there, but energetically it's shifted, which is the most important thing, because everything's energy, and it'll slowly, we don't want it to all just go away right away, because we still need to, be in our houses, and, get our food and drive our cars and get money from wherever we get it. But it's gone, it's changed. So first of all, to help, step by step, baby steps, to help say goodbye, what I suggest you do, and you can just go crazy with this, but write, if you can, like a letter to yourself. You can make a recording, you can make a video, whatever you feel like doing, but somehow open up a dialogue, and I think writing letters are always good, to your old self. Take a moment to pause and look at, for me, Elizabeth, Elizabeth, this lifetime, but also all your other lifetimes too. And just appreciate this journey and all that your old self did to get you to where you are now. And yes, it may have been a journey with many, many bumps, many, many windy, treacherous terrains and mountains and, crevices and caves and all kinds of difficult moments and a lot of trauma. But you made it. You made it. Energetically, you're here now. You're listening to my words. You're tuning into the higher frequencies. You're able to hear this and hear this beautiful, powerful manifestation of the next phase of your journey, the next step, the new story you're going to write. But before you go off on that, just go back and do like a review, a life review of all the things that have happened to you, just this lifetime or other lifetimes pop in too, and all you've been through, and cherish that. Even the most difficult times, those were the most difficult lessons, and you earned all that wisdom, all that knowledge. That's the reward of the hero's journey. That's the elixir of life. So just take a moment, and you might write down all the things you love about yourself. You might write about all the things that were really difficult about yourself, all the things you're so glad to leave behind, being afraid, being, nervous, being intimidated, being victimized, but also, for me, I look back at myself and, I was such a rebel, and I really spoke out no matter what. I spoke out. I stepped up this lifetime, and I hadn't done it in other lifetimes. And I finally did it. And I spoke up whenever I saw injustice. I didn't let my fear hold me back. I spoke up, whenever the moment needed it. I was a real, I guess, in some ways martyr, but thank God I didn't get martyred this time. I overcame that fear, and I was a real, and I did student teaching in Texas for a basketball coach, and I had never seen the way we were at that point. I have now, but I just got the kids together. I threw out all the tests and all that crap, and I had them like come together and play. To learn Greek mythology, they played the gods and they created sketches and they did all kinds of creative stuff. And I drove my poor coach crazy. And at the end of my internship, my internship, he looked at me and said, "You remind me of Barbara Streisand in the way we were." Later on, I saw she was a real ball buster, but I that was just my nature. I always turn things upside down in this broken finite world. But I did show up. I never stayed in a place very long because they're full of me. In fact, at that school, they said, "You're a really good teacher, but don't come back." And that's the nature of the finite world. So I lived all over the world. Peter and I too, we lived together all over the world. We touched down and made an impact. I know we were there for people, other star seeds, other light workers like us that needed to just know they weren't alone at that time. And so, think of that. I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad I was born. I'm so glad I showed up. I've been through hell and back, as many of you have. And of course, I wrote it. And for me, the infinite human, and it's also your story. So, but it's a good example of going through your life, looking at all the darkness and alchemizing it and realizing, celebrating yourself, celebrating your scars, celebrating your survival, celebrating, the fact that you did come here and the story that you were living, because it was the only story and the only option we had. So, that's what the infinite human's about. The infinite human is about. And of course, Peter wrote it with me, and he's in there very much our love story, our twin soul story. But it's also, I think, an inspiration and motivation for you to look objectively at your life and to celebrate who you are, to just really celebrate who you were. So you can put it to rest, because now the last thing I said, now I'm going to rewrite my story. The last chapter, I said, no more martyr, no more victim. I'm rewriting my entire story. So I think you don't have to write a tome, like my book. You don't have to write, you know, a book, but you might want to. You might want to start that, or just write a little journal, write some vignettes, some excerpts, some jot down, just scribble down, stream of consciousness writing like Joyce, just let whatever comes down and doodle and whatever you do, but let your creativity kind of give a voice to who you were, so you can honor her, pay her respects. Because really the truth is, this is an unwritten law, but it's true. In order to move on, you have to pay respects to those who came before you, and you came before you, your finite self. So really love her, embrace her, because when you when you hate who you are, you hate who you were, it never, it's like, pushing a stray dog away, or your little inner child, it just screams louder and louder for attention. So you really want to just fall in love with that part of yourself, those old stories, that defined you, so they don't have to define you anymore, because once you do that, then you can release it. So that's just a little suggestion. Let me know if that resonates with you, and if you do something like that, please share it. I'll just say right now, I'm starting a new community. I have to put it on my website, but I've actually moved to Kajabi, because Mighty Network only uses Stripe, and Stripe does not recognize spiritually based businesses. So goodbye, Stripe. I moved to them. They're much easier. I like them better. And I'll put some links in my website, infinitehuman.com, because I'd love to start forming, and in fact, I'm magnetizing to me. That's part of my new story, the right people. And that's what's going to happen now, because we have gotten to a point in frequency where we can be, the lighthouse. We can be the role model. We can be the symbol to people, but no longer do we have to be pulled into it by them. Okay, before there wasn't another level to the house. There was just the 3D, basic first floor, and the only chance we had was to retreat. Many of us, were I know I spent most of my life in my room, most of my childhood in my room, playing with my stuffed animals. And I was punished a lot, but that was okay, because I loved just being by myself, because that's when we could connect inward, to the higher levels, to our true soul star families, to our monads. But now those frequencies are here. So we're just embodying them. And as we embody them, other people will not be able to interface with us. It's like spectrums on the rainbow. Each color has its position, and if you're violet, you're not going to interface with yellow. It's not that one's better than the other. It's just that you're at a different frequency. So we're going to start magnetizing to us people of the similar frequency, and those people of the similar frequency will also, I believe, will have a story together, and that story is our unique soul missions, which will come together and weave together like the tapestry of a carpet. We'll all have our unique threads, but we'll create this beautiful tapestry, which is the foundation for the new earth. And it's vital that we start coming together now. And you probably already started to notice, or you will, that people, it's not like something that planned on. Like, I'm never going to call that person again. It's just like they don't call you, you don't call them. I have a friend here that I would always see in this little tiny village. I just go down the hill, and she was always there with this group of people that I was with all last summer, singing Sicilian songs and, dances and doing, Sicilian theater and having dinners and crushing grapes and pressing olive oil and all that kind of stuff. It was wonderful. But then that ended. It was just like, it's not there this year. If actually someone took over the corner where we did it. And when I go down there, I haven't seen any of them. I mean, I saw one just for a brief moment, like a flicker, but we're actually like almost in a whole nother reality. I mean, I'm sure they're there, but we just don't interface anymore. We don't see each other. The timing's not there. You know how divine timing, you might wait and you go out and you go to a store and then right at that moment you meet that person, it's just like, wow, I can't believe, we just serendipitously, encountered each other. And that's how it happens when you're flowing with life and it's divine timing and you're being positioned to meet the right people at the right time in the right place. It's divine timing. So now you're going to find when you reach out to them, it's going to just be so cumbersome. It's going to throw you off. It's going to be like you're riding your bicycle as a kid. I don't know if you ever took your hands in the air and kind of like like you were flying, but then you lean too much to one side. Reach for something and it pulls you off balance. So you don't want to be reaching backwards for the things and people, places, and things of the past. Okay, you want to let go of that and be free to move into this next level. So that's why I'm creating my community, because I have a feeling that we're going to hopefully I'm creating a sacred cyberspace where we can begin to first connect on cyberspace and then in the physical. So that's what I've been doing a lot during this time period. But I've talked about this often. I think the most important thing you can do right now, after you say goodbye, do your goodbyes, grieving, maybe you need to, take a little mini me and bury her or whatever, just, put her to rest, put her to sleep, tell her she's done her job and clear out space, because that's the most important thing you can do right now is create space. Now, I might not talk about really high metaphysical concepts, parallel universes at this time, but it all comes into play. Or, higher dimensions and, all the kinds of colonic science. But believe me, everything I say is connected with that, because it's all in the now moment right now. And it's very important to get very, very small, very, very simple. Release, even release so much of your brain so you're always thinking. And I was sharing with Italians are very in the moment people. And that's one of the reasons I love it here. I really need to be here. And I also hate it here because they just move so slow. If it doesn't happen today, no problem. And I've been here so many years, but I still have that. I just this hurry up script inside of me that is part of my culture. I think, it's the fast food, it's the fastest. And I was speaking to this wonderful Sicilian gentleman the other day, and he was saying, yes, the beauty of life is when you just move slowly and you're relaxed. And he comes to the same restaurant I go to, on the weekends, and he just takes his time. He's by himself, I'm by myself. We sit, on tables near each other. And he just moves so slowly through his meal, one course and the next course. And he's very thin, by the way. So, it's really interesting. All the, here we're, running through fast foods, I told him we drive through fast foods and we eat our food in our car and stuff, So slowing it down and becoming mindful. And I was saying to him that, Peter, who's always with me, I'll get your hair, I see. He's saying to me now, and he always said to me, Elizabeth, you're always in the future or the past, the future or the past. It's true. I'm always like, I mean, I'm very creative, so I'm always, I have all these visions everywhere I go. I'm seeing visions, 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 of what I want to do, what I want to create, what's happening. Or, you're in the higher dimensions and you're seeing all that stuff. So you're, up there. Or, you're reminiscing the past. I'm always thinking about our relationship and how wonderful it was, and, making love in the afternoon and, going on our trips and, just reminiscing. Or you're regretting, but mostly a lot of it is reminiscing. So I have lived either in the past or the future. Now feels really, really weird to me. It's very hard. And I think if you really start to become mindful of your thoughts, many of you will realize it's a lot harder. I know the zen of the now moment. I mean, we've spiritually we've been told that, and I never even understood, like mindfulness. What does that mean? I was asked to give a talk once at the library in Pawleys Island, and they loved me because I used to come in and do great meditations and all this comfy, cozy stuff. And this was getting towards the end, and I knew something was happening, and things were just getting so bad. I mean, and I came in and I said, okay, they said I'm talking about mindfulness, but okay, what you should be mindful of, and this is pre-scandemic, so I really got, scandemic, I think, took care of it for a lot of people. But I said, your food's being poisoned. The chemtrails are, destroying, your health. These are geoengineered storms. I mean, I just let them have it. And I had a packed audience, and they all just like stared at me with their jaw down. And then I think next week, I think 3 people showed up, but I just had to say it because, I could have continued the comfy, cozy meditations and probably developed nice clientele, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not me. That's not the old Elizabeth. That's not the rebel. That's not the one that speaks the truth sayer, the way shower. And that was me finally really coming out and doing that. And then that's what is in my book, The Infinite Human. That's when I started really getting serious about finishing my book back then. That was 10 years ago. And then, and then I started the move back to Italy, thank God. So, but I felt like I needed to say that. But mindfulness is becoming aware in the now moment of what are you thinking? What is your inner dialogue? Because I am amazed. And I'm someone who's done a lot of spiritual work. I meditate every day, maybe for an hour, sometimes meditate for 2 hours. I've been doing this for God knows how long, for 50, 40 years now. Okay. When I first started, met my spiritual teachers. And even before that, when I was young, I was just always spiritual. So, but I am amazed at the dialogue and how there's something that always, when I, start out on a day, get in my car, or start out on the road, or, step out. There's like this, oh my God, what if I have an accident? Oh my God, what if, there's like this, what if, it's like a thought that flickers of how things could happen in a bad way. And that comes up so much. And I know it's not me. I know it's a mind control program. I mean, it is me, but it was inserted into my consciousness. And I know many of you know what I'm talking about. And just try to catch yourself, that first flicker. And then, maybe you redirect, you course correct. And I've been doing that a lot. No, this is what I want to have happen today. I want to walk out. I want to have a beautiful ride, through the mountains and overlooking the sea. And then I want to go to the beach and, just lay there and absorb, the sun and swim in the sea and have a wonderful, healthy, nutritious lunch, out, on the veranda or whatever. What do I want to create for myself? And we've been spending so much of our time with these backlashes, with this hacking. It's been a hack into our story, and someone has actually grabbed the pen and started to scribble, this is going to happen, this blah, blah, blah. It's like the waiting for the other shoe to drop kind of thing. So pay attention to that, because I'll wake up and I'll say, what if I can't do this? What if I can't, what if I, I'm like, what am I doing? Your thoughts create your reality. Thought directs energy. It's a basic premise of the whole universe. Thought directs energy. So our thoughts, our stories have been hacked, and we've had programs that keep running and looping and looping and looping, sabotaging our efforts, sabotaging our happiness, sabotaging our dreams, sabotaging our goals. So this is a time when you really need to slow down, okay? Because we're always taught, hurry, hurry, have all these goals. When I came over here, to Italy for the first time, I created my list, the list of things you have to get done that day. So I had my list and I stepped out the door, and by the end of the day, nothing got crossed off. And I finally just tore up the list because nothing gets crossed off in Italy, which is good because you learn to go with the flow. You learn, maybe you go out and then you meet a friend and you have a coffee and, you just are talking. And then, and I used to always, when I lived in Florence, I would intuitively walk down the street and I'd say, which way do I want to turn, right or left? Right could be one day, one experience, and left would be a completely other. So I totally followed my intuition, really, my inner voice. It just kind of pulled me. It was my emotions, I felt myself into it. And that's what you really want to start doing. You want to break this program. And we're coming up on this whole Saturnian mind-controlled time loop. Okay, Saturn controls time, the Grim Reaper, and Father Time. So he's controlled your mind and put your mind, because there is no time. Time is illusion, and you can stretch time, but he's put this program in your mind. It's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, everyone's calendars, you have these cal things now where everyone puts all their stuff, and AI will schedule your whole month for you, like every minute, okay, now turn around and wipe your rear end now, and now do this, do that, do that. I mean, how can you allow for something new? How can you allow for spontaneity? How can you allow for infinite source to reach in and create a miracle in your life? And now we're hitting, in America, especially, we're hitting into the whole Halloween. I remember when I was in school, you move from one holiday to another, you do the black cats and the pumpkins and the turkeys, for Thanksgiving, and then the Christmas carols and the Christmas decorations, and then, you go into the Valentine's Day and everything. So it's like you have this external interruption into your concept of time, keeping you always focused on the next thing, now we have Halloween to look forward to. Oh, Halloween, so we got Thanksgiving to look forward to. And I remember one year, I think it was Christmas, when we did this entire amazing Christmas breakfast, because my father had always done a wonderful one, and he had passed away. So it was our first Christmas without him. And I took it on and did it in our home, on our 250-year-old log cabin. And the whole family came. It was a big undertaking. Everyone was cooking and putting everything on, and everyone sat down finally at the table. Here was the moment to really, enjoy the feast. And everyone talked about what they were going to do for Easter. I kid you not. So this is time. Time is on your side, but time has been working against you. Time has been the enemy. You've been programmed to believe in a whole false concept of time, and it keeps you enslaved in the time matrix. So do your best. Yeah, you can go, oh, it's Halloween. I'm kind of like, oh my God, it's Halloween. Sometimes I'll walk out. Well, here we don't have it, but or, oh, and I'll try to do something fun for Christmas and, whatever, Thanksgiving, my birthday, but it's not my goal. Each day I never know what's going to happen, but also now it's getting really bizarre because I have to really be in the moment. It's like there's so much consciousness around me that I just have to like really relax, breathe, and focus on what I want in my reality? What thoughts, what self-talk? Or, it's really good time to meditate and just totally zen out. So use a mantra or whatever, or go into the void where there's no light, no thought, no sound. Just totally let it go, because that is real. The nothingness of everything, the no time zone. The zone, being in the zone. It's like the golfer, I love Bagger Vance, and they show this one great, golfer, and he said now he's joking around, and all of a sudden he moves up to tee off, and he he does a little shift, and he's in the zone. And it's like nothing else exists except that, the field and where he wants to lay his ball. So, that kind of intenseness that we experience, Maslow calls it, the peak experiences, but that's really how we're supposed to be living. Peak, peak, peak all the time, in the zone all the time. That's living in the high frequencies. And then you don't have to plan, you don't have to worry, because your energy, your intuition, you'll just flow. You'll flow into each thing with ease. And I know it's kind of hard, and I'll be flowing, and then all of a sudden, boop, something will happen, and I'll be like, oh, where am I? It's like I fell, like I'm Icarus, I'm flying towards the sun, and boom, I fall, because I got out of that moment. So then I have to like breathe and kind of regroup, and then get back into that flow. So I hope you understand what I'm saying and you don't think I'm crazy. I saw a post today that said, yes, guess what? We're not crazy, because there's so many others that think like we do now. And, I think we've all been waiting for that, because in our own, lives of quiet desperation, we've had these thoughts, we've had these feelings, we've had these things that are totally out of alignment with the finite, broken 3D earth. And we have been, pegged as the insane ones. And God forbid if we say it out loud. I mean, I know I talked, I think last time, about saying something out loud to a psychiatrist who said, you're a very sick girl. So we've been very guarded with our thoughts, but now's the time to open up that throat chakra and to be our authentic selves, because I feel like in sharing from our heart, and sharing our stories, and sharing our perspectives, we're building a whole new reality, and we're giving everyone permission to allow these massive downloads of energy, of frequency, to come in and to be processed, and to come out through our voices, and through our energetic holographic templates, and interface with the planet. So that's how the change is. Like we're like a pebble. And so as we shift, and as we embody the higher frequencies and more of who we truly are, our authentic infinite selves, we are being the change, creating the change. So it's a beautiful time. So I hope these words are inspiring to you, because I know it can be challenging. And many of you are dipping in and out. You're still in a lot of relationships that maybe feel a little off, a little funky. You may be really hoping that the person comes along, and it may be very scary, and very trying, and very sad, because they're not coming up to your expectations. And it's time just to allow everyone to be who they are, to be where they are, and to be with them if it works out, and then spend time on your own. And if you find yourself drifting further apart, then let that drift happen, because it's creating space. And it's creating space either for that person to, who knows, they might flip over and come back, or if not, something better. And that goes for jobs, friendships, family members. Stop trying to hold on. Stop diminishing yourself to fit in. You know what I'm saying? Stop being little, stop playing small. And I just want to kind of wind up here with my experience with mice. I live in the country, so last year I had a rat. It was a big rat, and I swear to God, this rat was in love with me. It jumped in my window one night. Now I live on the side of a cliff, like kind of a hill, because that's how Sicily is. And below me is all the olive gardens. And so I'm like almost 2, 3 stories up. I don't know how it scaled the wall and got in, but and it wouldn't leave. And I finally got it out. But I mean, this was a big rat, and it would like be on the ceiling sometimes. When I walk out of my room, I kept my door shut, praying it wouldn't come in my room. So I finally got rid of it. And when I went to Mexico for the winter, instead of like going away and finding food and doing something, it went inside the garage that's like under my house, and it died. And I think it just died of a broken heart, and I felt so bad, but, it was a rat. It needed to go. I mean, that was me, like loving my, a rat, I had to just leave. I mean, and I think some of you, I was very sensitive. I'm a very sensitive person, So this year it was mice, and it was a little tiny mouse that got in my house, and I kept saying, you need to leave. You really need to leave. And so I didn't want to kill it, but I got this, sticky stuff, and it got stuck, and it got so stuck. I scraped it off, but it got covered in that, and I know it died. So that was very traumatic for me, but I needed to do it. I had to be tough. I had to cut that bond, whatever, I think the symbolism of what I'm saying. And then the other day, another mouse, actually, Kiki went over to her water bowl, and then she pulled something out, and I'm like, what is it? And a mouse had fallen into a water bowl, probably trying to get a drink. So I didn't want to kill it. So I was like, God, I got to catch it. And I slipped, and I hurt my right foot, which is the foot that I, severed my tendon. And I got it, and I threw it, I put it out, but it forced me, and the same thing that happened when I had to write my book, it forced me to, I sprained my foot. So it forced me to stay in bed. And so I really looked into the symbolism of mice, because, something's going to keep coming back until you get the aha. Then the symbol in the universe doesn't have to send the symbols anymore. But mice, there's a lot of other things, but the shadow aspects is when you try to stay too small, when you're too timid, the meek will inherit the earth, but you're not going to inherit the earth by being meek. So, and also though, the power aspect of the mouse is that they do tiny little steps, baby steps, but they move so much. And this woman was talking about how she had was in a building, and upstairs several flights there was popcorn, and she had been out of the building for months. I think the winter was closed, and she came back, and the downstairs there was this whole boot filled with popcorn, and the mice our mouse had moved one kernel of popcorn at a time to fill this entire boot. So for me, that was very symbolic, because I've been creating this community that I've been talking to you about. And AI is not my favorite thing. I do not like to chat with bots. I do not like to spend time on the computer. But I knew I had to. I knew this was how the community, the infinite human co-creators of the new earth, were going to be formed. So and with my sprained ankle, I sat in bed all day working and learning it and laying the foundation and creating the proper foundation, step by step, baby step, my step, so. And then the last thing that she said, which I thought was very powerful about the spiritual aspect of mice, is that they're very small, but they also symbolize prosperity, because they breed very fast, and their litters are like 8 mice. And, so their power is in numbers. So I thought about us, in our community. So I thought, if we start a community, and that was what I was getting. I might start it, 1, 2, 3 people, fine. But slowly over time, it's going to build, and our numbers are going to grow. And we are the ones that are going to inherit the earth. We're the ones that are going to create the new earth. We're the foundation. And our culture, of love, our economy of co-creation, our culture of creativity, our heart-based communications are going to become the norm, because this 3D energetically is already gone, and it's going to be crumbling and collapsing like sugar. If you ever seen the sugar cube pyramid where the bottom level gets wet and it just the whole pyramid collapses, and that's the whole Illuminati elite pyramid. So it's our time now. And this is part of it, the inner work that you're doing, which is why I've chosen to not talk all about the conspiracies and this and that. I mean, if you want to know about it, it's all in the Infinite Human. And there's plenty of other people who are talking about that. But it's time to really get small and simple and go inward and focus on yourself. Recreate yourself. And the 22nd is a breakaway date of every month. Every 22nd, there's a shift. There's a breakaway from something that happened previously. So break away from, and in a loving way, say thank you, thank you, thank you, and honor your old self, your beautiful old self, with all those stories that you had to live, with all that programming you had to survive through, and you had to find a way to to survive it, and you did. And you're here now, and you're here now to write a new chapter. So the more you can let go of all that old, the more you're just going to have this beautiful blank canvas with all these paints, all these colors, or a beautiful blank page to start writing. I am infinite. I am beautiful. I am loving. I am powerful. I am free. I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am amazing. I am awesome. So, you're going to do with the two most powerful words ever uttered, I am, and carve out your new story, your new direction. And this is the time, because the universe has your back. It's all been planned and prophesized and ordained and predestined for you to be where you're at now. So really carpe diem it. Seize the day. Take this moment to really, really become aware of what's going on. Shed the old skin, say goodbye, old lang syne, and start to really move slowly, so you allow miracles to happen, so you allow the serendipity to come in, so you allow these intuitive hits to bleed through all the Monday, Tuesday, 9 to 5, and BS that tries to crowd your mind with all this trivial BS to keep you away from what's underneath all that energy. Underneath all the finite is the infinite. And it's infinite love. It's infinite truth. It's infinite source. And if you can just clear out enough space to really feel it and embody it and sing with it, it's a song. It's an eternal song, and it's going to bring back the memories of who you truly are. So you won't feel like you're so weird. The cheese stands alone. You won't feel like, oh my God, I'm out of time. What do I do if I'm not, doing what everyone's doing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, back to work, Sunday, get ready for Monday. I mean, once you get out of that and you shed it, then true abundance will come to you. And you need to relax to let it come in. That's the key. You have to relax. You have to breathe. And then you're going to get all the intuitive hits that, and I'll just say, I've used my intuition and it's been amazing. I mean, I'm talking about money wise too. I mean, I don't talk about that anymore, because I used to say, oh, I'm wealthy, because, it felt so good to say it. Unfortunately, people take it the wrong way, but I had people like steal from me or reach out. Oh, you're so old, and give me some. It's not about that, but you want to be able to really feel like you're wealthy, and you can magnetize that to you, and you can use your intuition to know where to put your money. To know how to invest your money. But the best thing you can ever invest in, first and foremost, is yourself. Really learning, growing, becoming all that you can be, the heroic version of yourself. So that's the key right now. So I hope this helps. I hope this inspires you. I hope you are going to really just embrace this beautiful time to really love yourself, your old self, and love your new self into being, and really let your imagination soar. Nothing is too good for you. Nothing. You really do deserve. You've been through so much. That's why you want to do a life review. Look back and see all that you've put up with, all the BS you've gone through, all that you've done, all the lessons you've learned, all the dues you've paid. Now is your time. So you want to write on that first page, I am wealthy, I am free, I am beautiful, I am orgasmic, I am um awesome, I am loving, I am love, whatever, I'm desired, popular, whatever. Just don't judge yourself. Just whatever you want, really let it come. Don't censor it. Don't say, oh, well, I don't know, my mother, my family, know what I know. Don't go there. Just, if you do go there, just stop it. Become aware of the sabotaging thoughts that stop you from really just living the fullest, most rich experience, most multidimensional moment, life that you can. It's your time. This is the meek, the mice are now becoming not timid anymore. They're powerful. They're power animals, and they're inheriting the earth, the gentle. No longer are we letting other people cut in line, walk over us, interrupt us, shove their hands in our faces, cut off our creativity, cut off our divinity, our divine feminism, not feminism, but our feminicity, uh, interrupt, that creative, free flowing thought and energy, the healing energy that flows through us. We're not doing that. We're not fitting into this broken finite world anymore. And the more you can just get simple, the whole idea, especially there's no culture like that I know of. They're trying to export it, but it's not happening. But in America, nobody owns anything. I mean, you have to make, I said this several times, you payments, credit card, consume. The more you do that, the more you're just building your prison. You're building a prison for yourself. So stop. Give yourself space. Give yourself a simple life so you can just sit still and just enjoy the sunset. Look at the stars. Walk barefoot on the grass. Spend time in nature. Just shut your mind down and meditate. Go inward and just get very, very peaceful, because the most beautiful thing is peace. And that leads to bliss and joy. And that's where you're going. That's where you're going. You don't have to do anything to have that. You have to stop doing. Really. I mean, everyone's running out trying to make a lot of money because they want to be free. You're never going to be free that way. Freedom is letting it go. All right? Letting it go. People are thinking, yeah, if I just do this, if I just do this, And, you just got to give it to yourself. Give it to yourself now. This is the time. This is the time you've been waiting for. So give that peace, give that breathing, give that love, give that, just detaching from all the brokenness, all the chatter, all the busyness that has been polluting, which has been hacking your story, which has been stealing, robbing the pen and scribbling, crap in your story. So you need to just create the boundaries, create the space, and then just pick up the pen very slowly and just kind of start slowly to just move it, few when I got back into writing after Peter died, I couldn't write, so I did kind of a writer's recovery, and they have an artist recovery too. You just for 5 minutes a day, that's all I could do. For 5 minutes a day, I would write a little bit on my computer, and that was fine because I'd have panic attacks because we used to always write together. So, so just start off slowly. Write what you want to have happen in your life. I am. This is what's happening. Just write a little sentence, 5 minutes a day, and start taking the pen back. Start taking your life back. Start taking your mind back. Okay, this was impromptu. So, love you guys very, very much. And use this time, use this sacred space to rewrite your life story, let go of the past. And everything's going to be on my website, infinitehuman.com. And I do want to reach out to you. I'll be giving you a link to my community. It's actually going to be infinitehumanschool.com, but I don't think it's all connected yet. But keep your antennas up for a link, and please come in and join it. There's going to be so many wonderful things that I'll be offering. It's a membership subscription, but you're going to get courses. You're going to get this wonderful course that, and the reviews have been amazing on this. That people have said it's changed their lives. And, this was just like kind of a test course. So I'm going to do the whole one, rewriting your life story. And it comes with the workbook that I created, 167 pages of questions to ask yourself. And I'm going to have courses like Healing the Mother Wound, which we did a retreat here in Sicily, Sacred Sicily pilgrimage about, and the womb wound, healing the womb wound, and healing the twin soul wound. These are all things that we've carried with us, from the past. And then we're going to have like live talks, where we come into a room, and have live chats, bring you on screen, and we get to know one another and share what's going on with us, with the energy updates and things in our lives, and just be very supportive and loving in this sacred space for one another. And we'll have virtual events, that'll happen, when I get downloads and something I want to share. And eventually we'll have beautiful esoteric tours, around the planet, like to Malta, here in Sicily, France, Ireland, and I want to go visit a lot of these Tartarian structures and, places of high frequency where the ley lines intersect, and dragon nodes. So it's just going to be wonderful, but this is the foundation. And I'm offering a whole lot right now, to the founding members, the people who are called to be part of it, because, I just, I think we've all been looking for each other for a very, very long time, lifetimes. And it's our time to come back together and to, lovingly support each other in this ascension process and becoming infinite human beings. And then start having fun, learning our soul missions and coming together as puzzle pieces and co-creating this new earth. All right, said enough. Love you guys. Ciao for now, and I'll see you next time.